why did we even start with this whole project?
Boy, that's a great question, Robert. I think what started the whole inquiry quest was that you had come in and asked me, hey, I heard these are waterproof. Can I really shower water on top of these? And I told you, they're stormproof. Go for it. And then we started to chat about rain and movies and various iconic scenes. And we started to talk about using the lights off-grid. And we realized that we'd come to a very interesting point in lighting history of lighting fixtures. Now, we had very efficient, very beautifully crafted LEDs that enabled us to use very, very low amounts of power with tremendous light output, and that they were robust, and the cameras, film to digital, loved them.
Roll camera. Scene 1, take 2. Mark.
I guess let me start by saying the sustainability piece kind of comes natural to us because we're solar guys, right? And we got into this side of the solar business by really getting into the disaster relief arena. And when you have a new product like ours, you're really looking for that highest and best use for the product, right? Where you can have maximum impact. Now, we were fortunate enough to have you encounter our product within a few weeks of encountering Nanlux's new product, and yeah, you having the vision to put those two pieces together, which I think really enhanced, our ability to enter this industry because you saw the value that it was adding to the light. I mean, it's all about the light, but we provide that power source that enhances the ability of that light to do more things, right? You have more flexibility from a placement standpoint. Like I said, the sustainability piece is really, kind of, it's just there. But the fact that, we can serve power, and thereby empowering the filmmaker.
Hi, I'm Tyler Barton from King Kong Production Vehicles and Set Life. I was the gentleman who helped set up this completely off-grid green shot for a 2-day commercial to prove that you could actually shoot a practical set, for lack of a better term, completely off-grid without power. The idea was really born out of, we have all these new tools within the industry, be it the Moxion battery systems, the new energy packs, solar trailers, and seeing how we could, and if you could, even shoot without the use of a diesel generator. A little bit of communication between the lighting director, a little bit of communication between the person who's going to be rigging the show, and then a little bit of math. We were able to actually pull it off and do better than I had even expected. The idea started when Robert came to us and said, hey, we really want to shoot this thing using these Nanlux lights, which are these new, super cool LED, low amperage, low wattage lights. And I want to use them and the Moxion systems and these new batteries to see if we can actually accomplish this. So we got to chatting, and it was an amazing experiment. I'm not going to lie to you. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. Devised a light plan for us and just gave it over to me. And I asked him, I said, okay, well, this is a great light plot, but what fixtures are you going to use? And then he sent me a list of like 70 fixtures and said, here's what I plan on using, but it might change. It might be more, it might be less. You know how things go. Did the math. And the math bore out that we would be able to do this and really do it and not even make a dent in the actual Moxion battery system itself. And then we show up on the day of the shoot, and some of the coolest stuff you've ever thought about that you don't really even think about happened. Normally when you use a diesel gen, you've got to rig it a block and a half away for sound bleed purposes. We stuck the Moxion on set, literally, when you watch this commercial, you'll see as the camera sweeps by the dancers, you'll see it in the background. And we put it there on purpose. So you could actually see the thing that was powering this entire set. Crafty, trailers, lighting, effects, techno jib, you name it, we powered it. It got to be right there, and it's running when you see it, which is wild. And instead of cabling for 1,000 feet just to get into the shot, I cabled the whole set with under 500 feet, which is unheard of. I ran a couple of spider boxes, and that was the end of it. And yeah, 70 fixtures, 2 trailers.
73.
73 fixtures, sorry. I didn't realize we threw the extra ones in there. But that's even cooler. And it wasn't like we were running these little tiny lights. We were running big Nanlocked 10Ks, 3-4 of them at one time. And I'll tell you, looking at the data after the fact, we started at 100% energy and we ended at 88.
I want to lengthen the leg. So, did that make sense? Yeah. So you come in, you see her, you kind of reach this way. I kind of want this to be tight as possible, right? We see this like dynamic happening. Boom, he comes in, he goes this way, you escape, he like comes this way, and maybe he walks. Oh, that's a good interesting.
So how'd you guys get involved in this whole project?
This crazy project. Well, I'll tell you how we did. Got a call from Mark Bender with Nan Lights saying he had a little project to do. Would I be interested in shooting it? And I said, well, I know the perfect person for this. Milena Meridian, my daughter here, thought would be perfect for this. And
I got my first camera when I was 6 years old, and ever since then I've just been taking photos of everything. I love being able to capture very like intimate details about like people's faces, people's features, something that you don't necessarily pay attention to. Just that's what the beauty of a camera is when my dad talked to me about this project, I was like super excited. I've worked with Nan Lights before, and yeah, Mark is a great person to just like be around, and he's extremely generous. And so I was just, yeah, it was an automatic yes. Yeah, I thought it was a great experience. I feel like he's like a great teacher just to like have by my side always. I mean, not even just for this project, for every project that I'm on, I always ask him like every question I have in my head. And it's honestly just a privilege to be able to have such a experienced and talented person like that. I can just call my dad number one, but yeah, just to call in general. So it was a really good experience, honestly. Yeah, and I'm glad that he gave me the breathing room to be able to kind of do what I want, and more so. And he would always push me to like, oh, can we take this to another level? How far can we take this? Can we go further with this? And so he like pushes me to do better. Yeah.
oh, that my heart is like very emotional to hear that. It's I couldn't be happier. This one was great. If I could open any doors with whatever jibs or equipment or whatever, my pleasure to have her access that. And boy, she took it to a great level, having those tools and it wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't having this for this. It made sense to shoot anamorphic. It made sense to have a jib tell that story. Both of those were the right tools for this job. The colors, the ability to again, tell the dance and the story with light and color especially, and the movement.
I'd really like to do something with film and with environmental causes, and that's just never come up. So then when I met Robert, who was speaking about all these things that just made sense, and then it's like, oh, and we're going to have a young woman as the DP for this dance piece. I'm like, okay, that's amazing, because and active with women in media. I'm all about inclusivity in film. Hey, I can bring some crew on, but it's going to be really inclusive. And Robert's like, yes, let's go. Because a lot of people have a fear that if I don't look like what you're used to seeing in that position on a film set, that I'm a liability, that it's scary. Robert had like he had zero of that. He was like, yes, I like that. That's better. This is an asset. This is a positive thing. This is good. Let's do it. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Then when I saw the plan and the storyboards and I didn't fully understand what was going on, but I was like, we're gonna have to plug into mains power. Like this is not all gonna run on battery. Like that's not possible. I'm like, okay, well, the adults know what they're doing here, so I'm gonna shut up. But I was like, we're gonna be running stingers into there like this can't. It's like I've never seen that before. And then it turned out to be more lights and more things plugged in, and trailers and hair dryers and everything, the catering, the cooler at craft services, everything was running on batteries. And then they roll out with these solar panels. I have never seen anything like it. But this is the moment we've been waiting for. Like we're at this place where it can happen. We can do it. And I was like, it convinced me and it convinced everybody on that set. And I think a lot of people were doubting, but they weren't going to say anything, and then it happened and it was bigger and more power than I had even expected. And it totally worked. It was flawless. We didn't lose power for a second. All the power is silent. We weren't chugging Jennies,
Action.
Hi, I'm Georgina Curtis and I'm the costume designer for A Dance with Light. I was so excited to be on this project. I met Robert in Los Angeles at a sustainable event and we spoke for quite some time and definitely had this share of passion in sustainable film. And then Robert was so great with his mood boards that he showed me. I just remember sitting here and he'd hand drawn these beautiful mood boards and I'd never had that before. So that was amazing to have. I'm passionate about sustainability, just like I'm passionate about costume design. And so I want to marry those two ideas into my career. And yes, I've been doing projects with sustainable costume design, repurposing and reusing, what one man might look at trash. I've been trying to turn that trash into treasure. I felt like it was important for this project to hire as much as I could. The beauty of hiring is that it's a cycle. And so once those costumes are worn on one project, they get laundered, put back into the costume house to then work on another project. And to see things like my steamer being powered by solar, or the crafty coolers being powered by solar panels was something that I'll never forget.
This was my first time getting to work on a shoot that wasn't working from either a conventional generator or from house power. First time working, I guess, off the grid. And it was really inspiring. It felt like I was a part of what's going to be the new norm. Storytelling in film is largely about how we put the tools available to us in service of a story. And one of the things that's really exciting about this new technology is what options it will open up for us in more remote locations, in addition to being a sustainable option to keep us still making art while minimizing our carbon footprint.
Oh, and like, hey, you want to key grip? And I'm like, okay, sure. So I honestly didn't know what to expect. But being a staunch environmentalist, it was nice to see that they had full-size power bank batteries that lit the whole show. They had cable, but let me tell you, it wasn't like snakes everywhere, because that's what grips are used to stepping on. That's what juicers are used to laying out in the industry. It's just a rack of snakes everywhere. So when you're walking on set, you always have to be careful when you walk. But that wasn't the case here, working on A Dance with Light. It was amazing that they had NUE batteries, which were independent power banks for the fog machines, because we had to strategically place them all around set, hopefully hidden, but they were able to run independently, which is almost unheard of. Usually it's, let's get a 25-foot stinger, let's get a 50-foot stinger, let's try to run it around the set so people don't step on it. And 73 total lights that were on. And it was just an amazing experience. And it made me feel good that I was a part of a new system in Hollywood.
How does hair connect and influence the world in terms of our sustainability of our planet? Being able to collaborate with you and it's such an incredible cast and crew on a project that really resonated with who I am as a human being, because for me it's about helping people feel better about themselves, but it's also what can I do to make an impact to make this world a better place. And you brought this beautiful world alive and said to me, I want you to be a part of this and to bring your energy and your dynamic background to the hair. And all the lighting and everything was done sustainably. And so I just felt so lucky to be part of something that is bigger than ourselves. And for me to combine my talent, my excitement, my enthusiasm, my creativity with my passion for making the world a better place was a dream come true.
I was a key makeup artist on A Dance with Light. When Robert first approached me with this idea, this magical little movie that we created about creating art in a sustainable way and a story within a story, immediately I was sold, because I think that as artists, what we do is magic, is creating magic. And for that to be properly portrayed out in the world once we release it, I think that it has to be honest. And as filmmakers and creatives, now that we know that we can do things sustainably, if we're trying to tell a story and doing things that are so destructive and wasteful, that's all going to make its way into the art. Be able to sign up for something that had a good positive message, and to know that we were going to expose every part of the filmmaking process to show that we were doing it sustainably, this is something that I believe will be true and resonate with audiences, because we made it honestly. The entertainment industry influences the world. We need to be making art responsibly.
My brother called me up kind of a panic. His name's Robert. He's the director of this project. And he said, I'm doing this commercial. Folks are going to be dancing. Do you have some music that just sort of fits? And I kind of froze for a little bit. I'm thinking, nothing really comes to mind. I got these rock songs. And then a thing popped into my brain, a certain sound, a certain piano. When I was learning piano, I was about 16 years old. I had a little bit of lessons. We just had a new piano in the house. But I really learned about how piano is played from a friend of mine. Her mother played like kind of jazz piano. She had this piano in a corner and she would smoke and there's holes in the piano. But she played beautifully. It would be like, some of these lounge players who could really, really, embellish a tune. And I loved her playing and I loved the piano. Fast forward years and years later, she starts to get dementia, and they're going to put her into a facility. And in a very lucid last moment, she says, I'd like to give the piano to Chris LeRoy. And when I was first playing on it, it was a joy. It was this sound from my past that I composed just a little ditty just in my head as I was sitting at it. Well, that little ditty ends up being a song that's which the music that goes in this film is based on. And we did this wonderful, almost like Sergio Mendes, Brazil 66 sound for it, and try to be very, very authentic. And it has lyrics and everything, but just the backing track and how we did it, and the jazz guitar in it, and the little backing vocals, the ba-ba-do-wah, really comes from the sound of this piano from my past. And then see it transformed in this beautiful little commercial with this wonderful story. And it goes back to this early sound from this early experience with music that sustained me as a creative person. To have them all come together and then hear that all this project was based on trying to create sustainable, renewable energy with the least amount of footprint, carbon footprint in our environment. To seeing the commercial and seeing how a renewable thought and a sustainable idea fits into a project that's all about sustainability, I think it's just serendipity. I think it's the way it was meant to be.
Hey listeners, if you have a story about innovation and sustainability in entertainment, please get in touch with us at tieinpodcast@gmail.com. That's TIEIN podcast, all one word, @gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We may ask you to be a guest on the show. Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Our producer is Colin Miller.